welcome to Tracy Mommy Reads. I am back again with another video. I'm trying to get my shirt straightened out here. Today, I'm excited to talk about this book today. As y'all know, I'm doing the ABC challenge for 2026, where you pick a book title that starts with each letter of the alphabet. So there's 26 books that you read in addition to other books. And, for some, 26 is still a lot, So some people may just be doing just the challenge by itself and not reading any other books. But also, as you know, it can get hard to find titles, especially with some of the letters like Q, Z, X. And what's another one that I think I had a problem with? I think those are the main ones: Q, Z, X, and maybe U also. But I did plot out all my books. Some of them I maybe found a couple of books with that alphabet. So I was like, well, I'm gonna just put both of these books down. And, because like I said, I'm a mood reader. I've said that here ad nauseum. So maybe when it's time to read, maybe I'll want to read the romance that starts with the Y instead of the mystery or whatever. Some of them, it's like, this is the book I'm reading. And for Q, I had found a couple, but I went with this particular book. And before I show y'all this cover, I just want to say initially, because the story, like the blurb intrigued me, but I was like, what's with this cover? And I think a lot of times some authors, and this book is old too. What's crazy is that this book, let me see, 2007 is when this book was published, right? But it has some very modern elements. I've read books that came out last year that have a similar type of plot line. So it was very timely, even though it was almost 20 years old. But James Patterson is the author, along with Michael Ledwidge. And I guess he's been lending his name to a lot of authors, I guess because he's such a popular author that when people see James Patterson, you feel like, oh, this could be a worthwhile story, even though maybe you've never heard of the other person that he's written the book with. But this book, and one other thing before I show you the title, I know a lot of people try real hard with that alphabet, the ABC thing, like to get books that the first word starts with the letter. I have several that start with the or the, however you want to say it. I feel like that's that's like a and an. It's just a particle. I don't think that should be counted. So I don't look at that as being, oh, it's not really that's a T. That doesn't count if you have, that in there. Whatever. So the name of the book, and you can tell what's so funny is look how little the word "the" is. The name of the book is The Quickie. James Patterson and Michael Ledwidge, The Quickie. Okay. So just given the title and that picture, there's something else you probably would think this is about. You probably would think it's in the erotica or, category or something like that. But let me tell y'all what this book is about. Now, it does have the first word, a one-night stand, okay? A one-night stand spirals into a web of dark secret in the world's #1 best-selling author's steaming thriller of love, lust, and murder. Lauren Stillwell is not your average damsel in distress. When the NYPD cop discovers her husband leaving a hotel with another woman, she decides to beat him at his own game. But her revenge goes dangerously awry, and she finds her world spiraling into a hell that becomes more terrifying by the hour. In a further twist of fate, Lauren must take a job that threatens everything she stands for. Now she's paralyzed by a deadly secret that could tear her life apart. With her job and marriage on the line, Lauren's desire for retribution becomes a lethal inferno as she fights to save her livelihood and her life. It is like they say, it's a twisting roller coaster of ride thrills in his most gripping novel yet. So, I was like, okay, so this is a little bit deeper than just the one night stand. It definitely is not romance. So let's see what's going on here. And this book did not disappoint. I really, really enjoyed this one. And again, I think I talked about in the last video, or about the titles or whatever. I definitely know that the title of this one, the Quickie, had double meanings. Like it says, this woman, she's a police officer. But what's crazy? I mean, it's in the blurb, right? But when I started reading it, like, you don't even really know that initially. Right? I feel like if he would have left that out, that would have been a big twist. That would have been, your mouth would have been hanging open. But I was still kind of surprised because the way he presented her and introduced her into the story, I forgot about it. And then when, something happens and like she's the investigator, I was like, that's right, she's a police officer. This is crazy. But as the blurb says, she sees her husband like going to a hotel with another woman or whatever. And the one night stand that they refer to is her lick back. She's trying to get her lick back, so she goes and she has a one night stand. And that's when everything goes to hell with that one night stand. So keep that in mind. But I think that it was so crazy because the whole time I'm thinking that, like, her husband is guilty. I mean, he had an affair and then he did something else. And, she's trying to like cover up a lot of stuff, a lot of what she did, what he did. And it's just this long, like, week, or like that first night was crazy, but it's just this long week of just a roller coaster, and then you find out that, wait a minute, could she have done all this for nothing? And then it goes back and you're like, wait a minute. I mean, it really was. You're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And you get out, like, you crash, and you're like, oh wow, I can't, wait a minute, we're going back up. It was crazy, the things that happened in here. There's a lot of there's an investigation, so you get a lot of police procedural type stuff. The lengths that Lauren, the main female character, went to cover up things was crazy. It was crazy. I get that she felt guilty, but no, girl, your career is on the line. Your life could be on the line. Your freedom could be on the line if you get caught doing what you're doing and then you think about for the reasons that you're doing it, right? It's just crazy. But the way that the author like made us dislike her husband and be mad at her for trying to help him, and then like he gives him a little like a small redemption piece. And you're like, oh, wow, okay, we were wrong about him. But then you go back and it's like, okay, no, he is an asshole. It was a lot, but it was fast paced. This is like an episode of, a cop show or something. It was so good and just so fast paced and just, just kept you just turning the page because you're like, okay, what's going to happen next? There's some, drug people that get involved, like criminals, that they're trying to blame stuff on, and it just goes so far left that where I was not expecting it at all. There's just so much left out of the blurb that it was a great surprise to have all this stuff unveiled as you're reading, because so many times in the blurb, even though, I mean, there's dialogue, there's setting, there's, character and character arcs and development, you go through all that when you're reading a story. But for the most part, the story and the full plot and everything is in the blurb. It's kind of like when people say that, like when you watch a movie trailer that sometimes the studios or the directors put too much in the trailers, like that's the whole movie, and it's not. But you do kind of see stuff that you're like, okay, well, yeah, this person's in it, or obviously that's gonna happen, or and you feel like maybe some things have been spoiled for you. And sometimes that can happen with book blurbs. They tell you that a couple met, got married, he died, She tries to move on with the neighbor. I mean, that's pretty much the whole story. Like, you don't know what they're saying to each other. Maybe you don't know how he died. Maybe you don't, that kind of stuff. But the story, the whole story is there. But with this one, no. This was a really good blurb because I didn't expect anything that happened in that book to have happened, okay? And I got this one from the library. If you do Kindle Unlimited, it's $9.99 right now, Kindle Unlimited. But I would recommend trying to get it from the library because it was, like I said, it's 2007. Like, when I went to Libby, through the Libby app, it was available. So I was able to borrow it right then and there. It wasn't a wait for it. Or if you go to maybe, if you're somebody that wants to have an actual copy of it, go to thrift books. But I feel like the library through the Libby app, getting it digitally is like going to be your best option. And then you can decide maybe from there if that's something you want to add to your library. But if you love, police procedurals, first of all, if you like a little domestic, part of it, like with some cheating, but somebody tries to get back at the person. If you love dirty cops, if you love just twists and turns and surprises that every page it gets crazier than the last, then I think that this James Patterson's The Quickie with Michael Ledwidge is going to fit the bill for you, because I was just on the edge of my seat. I was walking around the house while I was reading it, but I couldn't put it down. I think I want to say I finished this book probably, within a day or so, like reading it off and on throughout the day. But yeah, finished it relatively quickly. I think that would have been like pretty cool too, if it would have been called The Quickie and it was two things that could have been considered quickies in the book. But also if it would have been like a shorter story, then it would have hit all three of those things. But the chapters are very short and they're very fast paced. And I think that's how I was able to get through it, so quickly. And I will tell you, because again, fiction, you gotta suspend belief. I mean, there were a lot of things that, it's like, that could happen. Not in Olivia Benson's world, that kind of stuff wouldn't have went on. So, but in today's world, that's why I say I feel like there were some modern elements, because when you watch shows and you're like, why was the door open? How come nobody saw him go there? You have all these questions. There are a few things like that in the book. So, be mindful of that if you're looking for something that's going to just be hyper realistic, because it's not. It's entertaining. It's fiction. So, yeah, but I really enjoyed this. And I do feel like the authors did a good job at explaining things, because sometimes authors will do that. They'll put shit in a book that is hella unrealistic, but they don't give you any reason why it was possible in their book or in their world. They just really just expect for you to just believe it because it's fiction. But I feel like there were some explanations as to why certain things happened or whatever. So I mean, it's also you gotta consider she's a woman police officer, and there are some instances, and you've seen this in movies, where you'll have a petite woman going up against physically, maybe trying to protect herself or fend off or fight a much larger man, and she's able to take him down. I'm sure maybe that happens in real life, but sometimes when you see it on screen, it just seems like they're not evenly matched. And outside of her having some kind of superpowers, you're just wondering how was she able to do what she did. Well, that may happen in this book as well. But overall, I think, if you just are looking for something to just escape and let your mind just wander, and that everything in the book is in the realm of possibility, then I think you would really enjoy The Quickie by James Patterson and Michael Ledwidge. In the off chance that you have read this book, I would love to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure that you like this video, and if you have not taken the opportunity to do so, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Thanks again for watching. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye.